They might have been just an ordinary quintet, but make no mistake, these amateur vocalists made a sound that would go on to rock America. The Five Heartbeats is a fantastic tale of five young African-American men forming their small band and making a name for themselves in the American music industry. After an initial rocky start, they improve and eventually rise to the top.
I'm tired of you wearing my clothes, JT. I'm tired of you using my toothbrush.
I'm sick of your shit too, JT. If you're not gonna do it right, then don't do it at all.
Despite being a musical, make no mistake about it, it is a very serious movie. It was directed by Robert Townson, who, for once, also takes the lead in his films. He played Donald Matthews, who had originally co-founded the band with his little brother J.T. Matthews. Only 34 at the time, Robert Townson had an elite reputation in Hollywood, as he established himself as an actor, director, and producer because of his hit film Hollywood Shuffle, released in 1987. The idea of the Five Heartbeats was based on the breakup of the Temptations, which was an event Robert took personally, as he would go on to show the decrepit nature of the music industry in America. But, if anything, he was a hustler. Despite being both the actor and director of the Five Heartbeats, he would use his spare time on set to write the screenplay for The Meteor Man. He would go on to intermittently act and direct, as he couldn't get enough of either. He was the creator and lead actor in the sitcom The Parenthood, which aired on the WB network from January 1995 to July 1999. More recently, in 2023, he directed 4 episodes of Power Book 4, Force, and starred in a few episodes of the hit TV show The Bear. Even at the age of 66, it's clear that he has no intention of slowing down. With a net worth of $5 million, he is happily single. He was briefly married to Sherry Jones from 1990 to 2001 and has 4 children. But if you were to ask him now, he'd probably say he's married to his work.
Got this little group I'm managing now, you know.
You managing the group?
Yeah, man, boys are bad too. They could wobble. JT, I treat you.
But Robert is not the only success story in this cast. Leon Robinson, who played J.T. Matthews, has had a remarkable career. But unlike Robert, Leon chose to dabble in music. He is the lead vocalist of his little band, Leon and the Peoples. Robinson was 29 when he landed the role of J.T., and he and Robert instantly bonded over their love for reggae, and, like their on-screen characters, developed a brotherly love for each other. Leon would garner success in his own right and went on to portray David Ruffin in The Temptations in 1998. It was based on a legendary Motown quintet that underwent a similar rise and fall depicted in The Five Heartbeats. But perhaps his most iconic performance was as Darius Bannock in 1993's Cool Runnings. At 61, he thrives in the industry, landing major and minor roles in TV and short films. His most recent venture was his role as Emerson in First Lady of BMF. With a sizable net worth of $1.5 million, a stable marriage to his wife Patricia Blanchett, and a beautiful daughter Noelle, suffice it to say, Leon has everything he could want. This next cast member might not be as active as Robert or Leon, but he does put on a show every time he's on screen. Michael Wright became famous for his acting career in the 1980s and 1990s, starring in shows like Miami Vice and The Moonstone Gem. By the time he was cast for the Five Heartbeats, he was nearly 35, but had a sturdier career than his on-screen counterpart Eddie King, who, if you remember, was the lead vocalist for the band and fell into a life of drugs and alcohol. Wright had a knack for taking on eccentric bad guys trope, and because of this, he would go on to win roles in movies like Streamers, The Principal, and Sugar Hill. Despite a solid career in acting, Wright didn't win the same luck in his personal life. He was married to Mitzi Lau for 6 years between 1994 and 2000 before they decided to split. He also doesn't have any children. But despite the familial setbacks, at 67, Wright will sparsely take on acting gigs, his most recent appearances being on Black Lightning and Transitions.
I've learned. Man, if you didn't like what I was doing, you could have come and talked to me. Instead of going behind my back, bringing in some old drunk.
But while Michael's career might have slowed, Harry Lennox is just getting started. This young kid from the streets of Illinois would go on to be a champion of blockbuster cinema, initially teaching in a public school in his hometown. Harry spent his off time starring as an extra on films, until, at the age of 27, he became part of the iconic quintet that catapulted him to fame. Offers began pouring in, and by the turn of the century, he was cast in a supporting role in The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded. However, he is most famous for his portrayal of General Swanwick in the DCEU franchise, appearing in films like Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Man of Steel. Today, at 59, he is still the face of Harold Cooper in the hit TV show Blacklist, and even makes occasional appearances as Frank Sacker in Billions. With such a prolific career, it's little wonder that his net worth is estimated to be around $4 million. His love life has been just as auspicious, with him having married the lovely Gina Graves Lennox in 2009, and despite not having any kids, the power couple is still going strong.
You have my deepest sympathy. I'm here. Oh God, you shouldn't be alone.
Another Illinois kid on set was Hawthorne James, who played Big Red, the corrupt owner of Big Red Records. James had a prolific career in theater before he began making appearances on film and TV. Arguably, Hawthorne had the most extensive background in acting. He received his bachelor's degree in theater from the University of Notre Dame and a master's in theater from the University of Michigan. If that wasn't enough, he went abroad to study in London at the prestigious London Shakespeare Academy. Much like Harry Lennox, Hawthorne made his big break with the Five Heartbeats by the age of 31. He would also put that theater degree to good use, because in the funeral scene of Jimmy Potter, James would conduct himself in a way that took inspiration from a scene in Shakespeare's Richard III. His acting skills and his taste for theatrics appeared in films such as Dave Fincher's Seven, The Color Purple, and Speed. Whether he had a knack for cop shows or he was just typecast, he would later star in popular TV shows such as The Shield, NYPD Blue, and NCIS. Apart from his screen work, Hawthorne took pride in creation rather than performance, and used his knowledge to go on to produce and direct, with his most pertinent work being Lisa Trotter. Today, at 63, he is still acting. His most recent performance was in Incandescent Love, a miniseries for which he is also the producer. His versatility accounts for his $1 million net worth, and with no wife and kids, he lives a relatively modest life.
You disrespect my husband. Get out! No.
While every actor we have covered thus far is alive and well, some have sadly departed, Diane Caroll among them. Caroll began her career as a model before transitioning into acting. She was the star performer in the Broadway musical House of Flowers in 1954. Her performance in this production got her enough momentum to kickstart her acting career. One of her most notable achievements was starring in the television series Julia from 1968 to 1971, where she played the title role of Julia Baker, a nurse and single mother. This role made history, as Caroll became the first African-American woman to star in her television series, where her character was not a domestic worker. Throughout her career, she received critical acclaim for her acting prowess, earning a Tony Award for her performance in the musical No Strings and an Academy Award nomination for her role in the film Claudine. By 1991, she was cast as Eleanor Potter for the Five Heartbeats. By then, she was one of the most recognized faces in Hollywood and turned down a role in Boys in the Hood to appear in this film. She would then go on to star in Eve's Bayou until she made her final appearance on The Masked Saint as Miss Edna. Caroll was married 4 times and had a daughter, Suzanne, from her first marriage. Unfortunately, Diane Caroll passed away on October 4, 2019, at the age of 84, after battling cancer. She left behind a legacy that inspired and paved the way for numerous actors and actresses, especially those from underrepresented communities. In a way, The Five Heartbeats was a story dedicated to the struggle that Caroll had dedicated herself to. It was the portrayal of African-American music groups and their struggles in the 1960s and 70s. It was also centered around emotions. This movie was more than just a feel-good story about chasing your dreams. It was the story of 5 men who, through their passion for music, discovered themselves in the beat.